Alright, so now we've got the setup here. Let's go and put everything together. So we're going to need a couple of things. One, along the top here we'll do our trials. And then along our y-axis we will sit there and go, well, these are our days in the future. So our days in the future, we're going to go up to 60. So I type 1, 2, 3, 4. It knows that we have a pattern there. I'm just going to drag it down until I see 60. There we go, 60. Now along the top, I want to do my trials. And I want to do at least 500. So 1, 2, 3. We will go and we'll drag this out to 500. That's going to be a lot. And there we go. Once again, I'm just using the Excel to see the number pop up, so we're going to SK. So that's quite a bit of things going on. And so now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put everything together. So I am going to want to use some range names to make things a little bit easier for me, because I'm going to be copying a lot of stuff over. And so those range names that I do want to use are final close, average return, and standard deviations of the return. So I'm moving these over now that I made this column wider, because it'll just make the range names a little bit easier. So I'm going to leave final close where it is. Yeah, we can use average return. And instead of standard deviations of the returns, I'm just going to change this to, I'm just going to leave it as stdev, just to make the formula a little bit shorter. Okay, and so here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this, oh, forgot to make the range names. So we're going to go in here, create from selection, left column, there we go. So the first one here is I just need final close. So we'll put that in there. I'm going to populate just trial 1, and then we'll drag it all over. So from here I also want to go and let's paste the format. So Control C, right click, paste format, so it's in a dollar amount. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I need to do this thing here. So my previous day stock price, which is here, times the quantity of 1 plus my new return. And so I'm just going to bury the new return in here. So the new return is going to be my normal.inv function. And now what is my probability? Well, we're running the simulation, so my probability is random. I'm using RAND, open parentheses, close parentheses. It's a continuous function, anything from 0 to 1. Beautiful number for probability. So from then I need my mean. And so I'm going to grab my average return, that is going to be my mean, and my standard deviation, so the standard deviation. Because once again, we're using the average of the returns and the standard deviations of the returns to say, hey, we have a normal distribution that is made up of this mean and the standard deviation. And so we're going to, oh, I had a typo. So let's see, where do I have my typo? Oh, I forgot to put the second parentheses there. We'll just say yes, because it'll put it in for us. And there we go. So we've simulated 1 day in the future based on this probability distribution that we have. Since this is all locked in really nice, I'm going to double click here to have it drag down. And I'll just click here and we can see that everything's holding set and it's working just the way that I want it to. And then I'm going to highlight everything down here. And then we're going to drag it over to SK, which is our 500. It's our 500 simulation. So it's a lot. It's going to populate all of that. So now we have 500 different simulations of what's going on. So let's put together some statistics. So these are our summary statistics. There we go. I'm just having a problem spelling tonight. So, summary statistics. Now, an important thing to note, we're only going to do this for day 60 because I don't care about any of the other ones. We're just doing day 60. So, day 60 only. And so from there, what are we going to want? Let's take a look at our measures of variability, our mean, our median, our variance. We haven't looked at that in a while. Our standard deviation, our max, and our min. Now, this thing keeps recalculating every time that we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, I'm going to move our copy, I'm going to create a copy, and so now we have RCL2. Let's just rename that fixed. And so now every time that we hit enter, it's not going to be recalculating the sheet. At least that is the plan. So now what I'm going to do, because if I go here, it should still recalculate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all the stuff that we did, all the way to SK, all the way up to the top. Copy, paste values. So now it does not regenerate. And so this is a way that we can use this data without having it take all that time to regenerate every time. So if I go back over here though, and we look at this sheet, our equations are still active, it'll still regenerate, but this is our fixed. Not that it was broken, it's just that we're fixing it in place. So let's take a look at a couple things here. Now, this is a lot of data, and so we don't have to keep highlighting it. Let's go and data, formulas, create from selection, and it doesn't quite know what to do, so we'll say left column, we'll force it to come in there, and so now, don't want to move that, now if we look at that, we have that 500 columns that we named nothing, because it is a number, we can't do that. So let's try this again. I'm gonna go day 60. So now it should work, right? Because now it's text, it's not a number. So we'll select all of this again on day 60, create from selection. Look, it goes, hey, I know that's a word there. So now we should be good. So let's figure out the average of day 60. So our average stock price is right there, Control C, and we are going to paste formatting. So our average would be $87.08. And while we're doing that, let's copy that one. Actually, we'll do that later. Let's go back to our median now. So equals median and day 60. So what does the median mean again? The median means that we have just as many on one side as the other. So if we look at this, we're going to paste the format again. So that means I have of my 500 runs, 250 of them are less than $80.46. 250 of them are greater than $80.46. So we can see we're a slightly skewed distribution because the mean is to the right of our median. So we have some lower values that are dragging, we have some lower outliers that are dragging the median down. So this would be our left skewed distribution. We do have our variance, and we don't really, variance.s, we don't really use the variance much because once again, it doesn't really give us much of anything because those values, the units can kind of screw things up. So what do we care about is we care about the STDev. So the standard deviation of the sample of day 60. That tells us that our standard deviation, now this unit value matters because it actually works out correctly. Standard deviation, this is in square dollars, so our standard deviation here is $30.84. For a mean of $87, that's a quite fat distribution because we have a lot going on there, so that's kind of interesting. And so we're going to go to our max. So our simulation tells us the best that things can be over this will be $269. That would have been fantastic. So we'll paste that in there, and we'll do the same thing. We'll find our minimum value. And so our minimum value of our distribution is $30. That is less than fantastic. And so there we go. So this is all the information from our simulation. So we're going to say, well, you know what? The mean, that is going to be our, and we'll call that the day 60 mean. This is what basically our prediction for our stock price is 60 days out. Now let's go look and see what the actual stock price was 60 days out. And there we go. That's actually pretty good. Taking a look at that, I had no idea what it was going to be, and we're only 5 days higher than what the real stock price this past Friday was. So maybe that's not a bad way of doing things. Now I wonder if we go to run this even more, does it get any better? So why don't we come over here. These are the sheet where everything's still active. Let's grab it. Let's double the size. Let's run this to 1,000 and see what happens. Let's see if it gets any more accurate. Okay, so there is going to be 1,000 simulations, and I really should have just grabbed everything all at once. I didn't grab. I didn't see where we were at 1,000, so I'm just gonna have to do it by feel. Grab here. I should have looked. So that's 728. And so I'm going to keep dragging this out to 1,000. I'm going to end the video right here. We'll get it to 1,000, and then I'm going to copy it in the other one, and we'll see how we did.